Keep the Lighthouse Burning, the true story of a song, and a story I also lived. Some songs are just sung, and some songs are felt. Some hymns are just heard, and some hymns pierce the entire soul. This, for me, is one of them. Many know the chorus, greater than keep the lower lights burning. Send a gleam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seaman. You may rescue, you may save, but few know the real tragedy that gave birth to this song. And even fewer know why this hymn touches me so deeply. The original title and its author this song was not born in Spanish. Its original title is Let the Lower Lights Be Burning, written by Philip Paul Bliss. In 1871, Bliss was inspired to write it by a story told by the great evangelist Dwight L. Moody. After a devastating shipwreck on Lake Erie, near the port of Cleveland, Ohio, the tragedy that inspired it one night during a fierce storm, a ship tried to reach the harbor. The main lighthouse was lit, but the lower lights, the small lights that guided the entrance to the channel, were out. Without them, the safe entrance was invisible. Still, the captain decided to press on. To stay in the open sea was to die. The darkness was total. The storm raged. A gigantic wave diverted the ship, and the boat crashed against the rocks. The hull was breached. There was fire. There were screams. There was death. Moody, narrating this tragedy, said something that shook Bliss. Christ is the great lighthouse, always lit. But we are the small lights. If we stop shining, men will be shipwrecked. That night, with tears, Bliss wrote the hymn. Why this story touches me so deeply, let me tell you something few people know. About 3 years ago, when I was coming to the United States with my family, we had an experience that still makes me tremble today. After crossing by land and reaching Mexico, part of our journey had to be made by boat. At midnight, for security reasons. It was a speedboat with no protection, no life jackets. My little daughters, my wife, and other families from Nicaragua were with me. There was a storm. There were giant waves. There was total darkness. The people driving the boat had to stop several times because they couldn't see anything at all. The fear was that a wave would capsize us, and we all knew what that would mean. It was 12 hours of anguish, of prayer, of silent tears, of looking at my daughters and asking God to keep us safe. And He did. But what hurts the most to remember is not just what happened to us, but what happened to others. The other boat that didn't make it that morning. There were 2 other boats making the same journey. The sea was so violent that one of those boats broke in 2 from the impact of a wave. There were 18 passengers. None survived. They all died. And on that boat, there were more children than on the one I was on. When I found out, I broke inside. I realized it wasn't luck. It was mercy. It was purpose. It was God. That's why, when I hear this song, Keep the Lower Lights Burning, I don't hear it as just an old hymn. I hear it as someone who was in literal darkness, in a sea that seemed to want to swallow innocent lives, and who saw the hand of God preserve us, the light of Christ. And our responsibility, the story of the ship on Lake Erie, and the story of the boats on that morning, remind me of something profound. Christ is always the great lighthouse. He is always on. His light never fails. But we are the little lights, our compassion, our words, our prayers, our solidarity, our love for our neighbor. All of that guides those who are struggling in dark seas. Sometimes a single light that is not extinguished can be the difference between life and death, between giving up or carrying on, between getting lost or finding the way home. Final invitation if this story touched you. Remember this. Be a light for someone. Do not put out your lamp. Do not ignore the one who is struggling in silence. Do not stop shining, because while you shine, someone finds the way to Christ. Keep the lower lights burning. Send a gleam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seaman. You may rescue, you may save.